Okay. All right. We're about a minute and a half after, so I think we're ready to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our daily success webinar on this beautiful day. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, amazing week so far. Great to be on here with you guys, and thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. So for those of you brand new, we do these webinars Monday through Friday at the same exact time, 12 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Central, and 3 o'clock Eastern time. Try to be on here as often as you can. It only takes one idea to change your life. Just one simple idea is all it takes. And you never know which webinar you may get that from. So try to be on here as often as you possibly can. All right, let's get right into it. So as you guys already know, the past couple of days, we've been talking a lot about thinking big. And one of my favorite books of all time is The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. It's an older book, but the principles are everlasting, just like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Even though, that is a very old book, and some people consider Napoleon Hill kind of like the grandfather of personal development. And in a lot of ways, he kind of is. But nonetheless, the principles that he taught in Think and Grow Rich are everlasting. They're eternal. And the same thing with The Magic of Thinking Big. So if you haven't read that book, get that book, read it over and over and over again. Amazing book. So I shared with you guys a story on Monday about a gentleman who was kind of going through life just settling, and he was content. He was living kind of a mediocre life. And one day he just kind of woke up and realized that, he had a lot more to offer, a lot more potential. And so he went into a job interview, was able to get far more than he was initially expecting because he just simply changed his mindset. So we've been talking about this. We've been talking about it this week. Today and tomorrow, I want to talk to you about a few things that you can do to start thinking bigger. All right. Now that you understand that the importance of this and you become aware of it, now the next step is, how do we go about doing it? And like I said yesterday, the starting point of all achievement is awareness. You have to be aware of a problem or a challenge before you can make a decision to do something about it, right? So awareness is really the first step. If you're not aware of a problem or a challenge, in your mind, there's probably nothing to solve. So you really have to get to that point. You have to get to that point in your life that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that you no longer are going to just settle for a mediocre life, that you're not going to be content or become satisfied. It's okay. You should absolutely be grateful for everything you have, but at the same time, you can still desire more. Sometimes people think that, well, if I'm not satisfied or if I'm not content, then that means I'm also ungrateful. And that's absolutely not true. You can be grateful for what you have and for your life, but at the same time, have a strong desire for more. And so don't get that confused. But you have to get to that point where enough is enough. No longer, like deep down in your soul, in just that fire in your gut, where enough is enough is enough. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm fed up. And you kind of get that white heat mad that you're ready to do something about it. Right? So that's a starting point. And again, like I said yesterday, there's so many examples of individuals who went from struggling to massive success, or from mediocrity to wealth and riches, all by simply changing their mindset. That was the key. So how do we go about doing this? How do we shift our mindset and start thinking bigger? So first of all, what you have to remember, like I've said over and over and over again, your past does not equal your future. You have to forget about your past. The reason I say this is because, let me give you an example. Children, for example, most children are big thinkers. They don't have a problem thinking big. I love Tony Robbins talks about this. He says, when you ask kids, what do they want for Christmas? They'll give you pages and pages of things that they want. I want a computer. I want a new phone. I want a bicycle and this and this and lists and lists of things, right? And things that are probably expensive. They don't have a problem coming up with, a long list of things for Christmas. You ask an adult, what do they want for Christmas? And you're lucky to get one or two things, right? Kids are really good at make-believe and pretend. And that may sound silly and childish and ridiculous, but the fact is if adults actually were better at make-believe and pretend, you'd be amazed at what you could accomplish in your life. It's not childish. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But nonetheless, kids are really good examples about how to think big, right? They're not afraid to ask for anything they want. They don't focus on whether it's possible or not. They just have faith and believe that if they want something, they can get it. But something happens, there's a disconnect between childhood and adulthood. And what happens is we get older and older, we start, we're told things like, grow up, stop acting like a little kid or stop thinking like a little kid. You gotta be an adult now. And, so we're kind of brainwashed and told all these things, on how to think and be like an adult and think like an adult. And what happens is we try a few things or we ask for a few things and maybe something doesn't happen. We don't get what we want, or we tried really hard and we didn't succeed. And so little by little, we start to establish these beliefs. We adopt these beliefs and we start to adopt these limiting beliefs about what's possible, what we can have, what we can't have, what we can accomplish, what we can't accomplish, right? That's what happens. You go out there in the real world and you try a few times, you get knocked down, and pretty soon you become very cynical and negative. And that same person who used to think really big as a kid now doesn't think big at all because they asked and it didn't happen, or they tried and they failed. And so pretty soon they have all these negative and limiting beliefs about what's really possible in their life. And they start to settle and they become content and they just kind of give up on life. And they're afraid to ask. So that's another thing that happens. Probably one of the biggest things that happens between, society and our parents or our peers kind of brainwashing us and telling us to stop thinking like a kid or stop acting like a kid. And you got to, how to think and act and how to make decisions. And then also just merely by the people we associate with, right? Like we talked about over and over again, your income and lifestyle is strongly influenced by the people you associate with the most. So if you hang around people that are small thinkers, you're going to be a small thinker. You're going to think like them. You're going to talk like them, act like them, make decisions like them. You're going to settle. If you hang around people that are settling life and just kind of going through the motions, and they're not striving for excellence, they're not striving to succeed and improve themselves, improve their lives, and so forth. If you are associating with people that are just kind of giving up on life, guess what? You're going to give up on life too. But you hang around people that are striving for excellence, improving, and always have goals and working towards something. What's going to happen, even if you're down here, what's going to happen is they're going to help pull you up, right? Because by being around those people, it's going to push you and drive you to excel, improve. So not only is it the things that we're told, but it's also just merely the people we associate with. You hang around small thinkers, you're going to be a small thinker. Okay. You hang around big thinkers, you're going to be a big thinker. So pay attention to who you're associating with. That's another thing. So number one is be very careful about the beliefs that you adopt. Just because people tell you something doesn't make it a fact. Just because your friends or family say something, that doesn't mean it's a gospel truth. Okay? That's in most cases, it's their opinion, but we adopt those things as the gospel truth. So be very careful about what you let into your mind and what you adopt, what beliefs and philosophies you adopt. Be very careful about the people that you associate with, right? Take a close look at who you're associating with. Are you hanging around people that are pulling you up in life or people that are pulling you down? Remember, there's no such thing as stagnation. You're not stagnant. Okay. People think, well, if I don't change anything in my life isn't going to change. And I've probably said that in the past too, but the more I look at it, that's absolutely not true. Everything in life is changing. Everything is either growing or dying. Okay. It's either improving or the opposite of improving. It's not improving, right? That's true. I mean, you take a look at like inflation and all these things going on. If you don't do anything, you're actually going to end up worse, because everything around you that's going on is going to put you in a worse financial situation. So you're either going up or down. Okay. You're either climbing or you're coasting. There's no such thing as standing still or staying stagnant. So in relation to your friends and the people you associate with, your friends and family are either pulling you up or pulling you down. There's no such thing as staying in one spot. So the third thing we want to look at is, what are you telling yourself? What are your own conversations? What's your self-talk? What are you telling yourself? One of the biggest challenges we have nowadays is so many people, this has always been a challenge throughout history, is people comparing themselves to other people. But it's worse now because of social media. And it's one of the reasons why suicide rates are up and depression is higher than it's ever been, because, you go onto social media, and I'm not saying social media is bad. Social media is neither good or bad. It's just what we do with it, right? Just like money is neither good or bad. It's what you do with it. Just like your car is neither good or bad. You can use your car for good or evil. Everything in life can be used for good or evil, pretty much, right? And so social media can be used for both good and bad. But the problem is most people go on social media and they compare their worst to everybody's best, or what they perceive as everybody's best, right? And you see all these beautiful women on here, and if you're a woman and if you don't look perfect like them, then you think you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not deserving, right? And we all know that a lot of those photos and stuff are edited and photoshopped, and they're not actually real. So that's one of the biggest challenges we have today, is comparing ourselves to other people. It's worse than it ever has been. You have to stop comparing yourself to other people. I love what Matthew McConaughey said. He said, the only person I'm chasing is the best version of me. And that's exactly how it should be. The only person that you should be chasing is the best version of you. It's okay to see a role model and say, man, he has some great qualities, and you want to adopt those qualities. There's nothing wrong with that. Seeing positive qualities and characteristics in people that you admire that are successful and adopting those your own. But your goal should not to be like that person. Your goal, the only person that you're trying to chase, is the best version of you. Ed Mylett talks about that as well. So going back to what we're talking about here is, stop comparing yourself to other people. Take a look at who you're associating with, and take a look at your self-talk. What are you telling yourself on a daily basis? And a lot of times things we're telling ourselves are so automatic, we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Because we've said it over and over again. Our subconscious mind runs 90% of what we do on a daily basis. And so if you've repeated something over and over again, pretty soon it's a part of you and you don't even realize it. It's just automatic. So you have to take a really good look at your inner dialogue, your inner conversations, and in some cases, even your external conversations. Some of you are verbalizing a lot of negativity out loud. You beat yourself up. Why am I always late? Why does nothing ever work out for me? Why does this always happen? Why does nobody like me? Or why can't I ever make friends? Or, Why do I never succeed? So some of you are externally voicing this or having this self-talk. So anyway, when you do this, we have to remember our past doesn't equal our future. Just because you've tried in the past and it didn't work, that doesn't mean that's the future. Most successful people tried over and over and over again before they finally succeeded. It doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It doesn't mean you won't succeed. It just means you got to keep trying. Okay. Just because you asked for something and it didn't happen doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. God's delays are not God's denials. We've all heard that, right? It's absolutely true. So forget about the past, right? It's almost like you have to unlearn what you've learned. Have you ever heard that before? You have to unlearn what you've learned. Sometimes we have too much knowledge. Sometimes you have too much experience. And because all that knowledge and experience comes with sometimes a lot of negativity and a lot of limiting beliefs that we pack around. So you really have to let go of all that. And you have to, again, almost be like a little kid again and have that same faith and belief that anything is possible. And remember, like I said yesterday, there are countless successful and wealthy people out there who started off worse than you, that didn't have the resources, didn't have the qualities, didn't have the characteristics that you have. And now they're incredibly successful and incredibly wealthy. If they can do it, you can too. I guarantee you, if you took a good close look at anybody that you admire, anybody that's wealthy or successful, and if you was able to kind of dissect them and look at all their qualities and characteristics, you would be amazed to find that they don't have any more assets than you have. They don't have any more personal assets. They're not better looking. They're not smarter. They don't come from better backgrounds or better families. They don't have better, genes or DNA. They don't come from royalty. They didn't have any better education. A lot of them dropped out of high school or dropped out of college, don't have a high school diploma or don't have a college degree. Okay. Again, you'd be amazed to find out that they are no better than you. I firmly believe the biggest difference is they just did not give up when other people did. When other people tried and it didn't work and then they just gave up. Wealthy and successful people just keep trying. They keep trying. They keep trying. They keep asking. They keep asking. They know that eventually what they're asking for is going to happen. It's going to materialize. What they keep trying for, they're eventually going to be successful. Okay, no matter how many times, it's eventually going to happen. You cannot be denied success. The next thing you have to do is you have to stop focusing on your weaknesses. That's one of the biggest problems. I see this all the time, and I know you guys see this too. Okay, sometimes our children do it, but adults, it's even worse. For some reason, it just blows my mind. Like I've told my kids this so many times. I'm like, there are plenty of negative people out there that are more than happy to say negative, demeaning things to you, because there are people out there that are just haters. They love to do that. I says, you shouldn't be one of them. Don't demean yourself. Don't be negative about yourself. You should be the number one most important relationship in your life is your relationship with you. It's the most important relationship. If you don't have a good relationship with you, how can you have a good relationship with God? How can you have a good relationship with your spouse, your children, your work associates? You can't. It literally is the most important relationship, because if you don't take care of you, if you're not your greatest fan, if you're not your greatest cheerleader, nobody else is going to. I mean, if you don't love we've all heard this, right? If you don't love yourself, how can anybody else love you? If you don't believe in yourself, how can anybody else believe in you? If you don't think or talk good about yourself, how is anybody else going to? You have to focus on number one. You are the most important relationship in your life, you. So why in the world? I've never got this. It just blows me away when I hear adults say mean, horrible, negative things about themselves. Like they'll compliment their coworkers, they'll compliment their family and friends, but the number one person that they should compliment the most, they don't. They compliment other people and then they turn around and say mean, horrible, negative things about themselves. And yet they wonder why they can't lose weight. They wonder why they can't make money. They wonder why their relationships aren't working out. Well, no wonders. I mean, if your kids or your spouse, if you said the things that you say to yourself, if you said that to your kids or your spouse, what would that do to them? That would crush them. Some of you probably say some pretty horrible things to yourself, maybe not externally, but internally. Can you imagine what that would do to your spouse, your kids, or a close friend if you on a daily basis said the mean, horrible, negative things that some of you may say to yourselves? That would crush them. They wouldn't be successful. They'd feel horrible. Their confidence, they wouldn't have any confidence. They wouldn't have any self-esteem. They'd feel horrible about themselves. Think about that for a moment. And they probably wouldn't stick around, right? They wouldn't want to be around you. Stop demeaning yourself. Stop saying these mean, horrible things. Okay. Listen, nobody's perfect. Nobody ever will be. That's not for this life. That's the next life. There's only one person that ever lived on this planet that was perfect. His name is Jesus Christ. Nobody before him or after him has been or ever will be perfect. Okay. This is not about perfection. It's about progress. Progress is the key, not perfection. So stop focusing on your weaknesses. When you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up about it. Everybody makes mistakes, even the best of the best. The people that you put up on the pedestals, they make mistakes every day. The difference is what you do with it, how you respond to it. Wealthy and successful people have learned to respond differently than other people. When they make a mistake, they don't beat themselves up. They're not negative about it. They just learn from it. So if you've tried to lose weight in the past and it hasn't worked, don't be negative or mean about it. Okay. Just understand that, hey, you've learned, maybe you've made some mistakes. Maybe you weren't consistent, or maybe you didn't try this. Maybe you need to tweak some things. It doesn't mean that you are hopeless or you're a horrible person and it's never going to work for you because you're just undisciplined and you can't do anything in life. That's not what it means at all. Your past doesn't equal your future. So stop focusing on your weaknesses. Stop saying mean, horrible things and negative things about yourself. And you got to catch yourself. You got to make a conscious effort. Some people, this is such a bad habit. They do it all the time and they don't even realize they're doing it. So you've got to make a conscious effort in the beginning to stop yourself internally and externally from saying those things and from focusing on those things. Stop looking at all the bad, horrible, or negative things about yourself. Every single person out there has negative qualities that they could focus on if they wanted to. You just have to choose not to focus on those things. Okay? Remember, you are bigger than you think you are. You are better than you think you are. I promise you. I'm not just saying that. If I was face to face with each one of you, no matter what your past, no matter where you came from, no matter what you've tried and failed, or none of that stuff matters. Your past does not matter. I guarantee you, every single one of you, you are way bigger and way better than you think you are. So here's your assignment today. Okay, I want you guys to really make a conscious effort to pay attention to the things you say to yourself internally and externally, and make sure that anything negative, mean, or horrible, if you're late, if you're late for something, don't sit there and beat yourself up that you're late for an appointment, or say I'm always late. And don't even say it in jest or joking. This is something else people do. They think it's okay to say something bad about themselves if they do it in a joking manner. That's just as bad. See, you have to remember your subconscious mind is, think of it like a perfectly obedient servant. It's like this servant, and it doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't understand sarcasm. So when you say things like, oh, I'm just, I'm not pretty. No matter what I do, I'm just not pretty. Ha, ha, ha. Or you just joke about or laugh. There's countless things you can say. And again, every one of you know what I'm talking about. Either you or people around you have done this many, many times, where you'll say something demeaning or negative about yourself, but you'll do it in a joking manner and you laugh about it, thinking it's okay. Your subconscious mind is a perfect servant. It takes every order literally. If you say something in jest or joking, it takes it literally. It doesn't understand a joke or sarcasm. If you say it sarcastically, it doesn't understand that. If you laugh about it and say, oh, I can never lose weight, and you joke about it, your subconscious mind, that perfect servant, is going to say, okay, your wish is my command. You're right. You can never lose weight. And you say that 10 times, then 10 times your subconscious, it just impresses that upon your subconscious mind more and more. You say it 100 times, it's just 10 times stronger. The more you keep saying it, the stronger it gets. And your subconscious mind, it says, okay, you've told me this 1,000 times, so we're going to make it your reality. You've told me this over and over again, that you can never lose weight. You joke about it, but I take it literally. So guess what? You're not going to lose weight. I'm going to work against you. I'm not going to help you lose weight. You see what I'm saying? You're using the most powerful gift that God has given you against yourself. Against yourself. It's crazy. That's why it just blows my mind. And I tell my kids this quite often. It's like, do not say anything negative about yourself. There are a lot of negative people out there that are happy to do that. You shouldn't be one of them. You should be your greatest fan, your greatest cheerleader. You should compliment you every day. You should be looking in the mirror and saying amazing, beautiful, positive things about yourself. You're the best looking person on the planet. You're the best at what you do. I remember there was a story I read a while back. I wish I could remember all the details, about a gentleman who was struggling like crazy with the company. He was set in sales with the company. He started telling himself every day that he was the best at what he did. He was the best in his company, and he was the best in his profession. Over and over and over again, I'm the best at what I do. I'm the best in my company. I'm the best in my profession. And his sales started to turn around. And actually, he started to outperform all the other sales guys, became a sales manager, and then climbed the ranks and became an executive of the company. And he was struggling like crazy. He went from the worst of the worst to end up being an executive of the company. And it was all because he started changing what he was saying to himself. Rather than focusing on how he was horrible and he wasn't selling anything, he was getting horrible results, he started saying, I'm the best at what I do. I'm the best in my company. I'm the best in my profession. I am the best. I am the best. I am the best. Now, it may not have been true when he started saying it, but you know what? He made it true. He made it true because he used God's greatest tool to benefit, to bless, and as an asset. So stop being negative about yourself. Stop focusing on your weaknesses, okay? And never, ever, ever sell yourself short. You'd be amazed at the people that you look up to and admire, how they are no better than you. They just didn't give up, and they just think much bigger. So here's your assignment today. And tomorrow we're gonna talk more about this. I want you to write down all the positive qualities about yourself. Okay, not your weaknesses, not all the negative things. It's real easy to focus on the negative. That's natural, right? We don't have to work to focus on the negative. That's just the world we live in. It's like gravity. It's natural. You don't have to work at falling. You have to work to stand up. Gravity is natural. Okay, negativity is natural. To be positive, you have to work at it. So don't focus on the negative. It's easy to do that. Focus on the positive. Okay, and be generous. Really take a deep look. Take full inventory. Everything, your physical qualities, your physical attributes, every blessing and every asset you have. Can you see with two eyes? Okay, put that down. Do you have vision? Can you see? There are people out there that can't see, right? I mean, can you do math? Put that down. What's all the resources and all the positive qualities about yourself? Do you know how to do math? Do you know how to read? I remember another story about a gentleman, or he was on the beach about ready to kill himself. And another gentleman came by, sat down with him, started talking to him. And he come to find out this guy just felt like he was worthless. He wasn't succeeding, and he was just going to kill himself. And this kind of mentor said, this is ridiculous. He's like, let's list all your assets, all of your positive qualities. So they started talking about it. He's like, can you do math? And the guy's like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, do you know how many people, how many immigrants come to this country that don't even know how to do math? They don't, they can't do math, but yet they end up massively successful. He's like, can you read? The guy's like, well, yeah. He's like, well, do you know how many immigrants and people come from other countries? They don't speak English. They can't even read English, but they end up massively successful. See, the problem is most people are spending so much time focusing on their weaknesses and what they think they don't have. And whatever you focus on, that's what's going to expand. You keep focusing on the negative, that's all you're going to see, right? So you have to shift your focus. You have to start focusing on your assets, your positive qualities, the resources you have, the blessings you have. If you can see, if you can read, if you can do math, if you can make decisions, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs, and if you're healthy, and if you can move about physically, if you got a car, if you got a roof over your head, if you got food, and all these things. I mean, list everything. You should have hundreds and hundreds of things. And before you know it, the more you do this, what's going to happen is it's going to shift in your mind. Rather than focusing on the negative, you're going to start to shift towards a positive. And list as many positive qualities about yourself as you can. Regardless, like I said before, it doesn't matter, if you think you're great looking, you don't have to have any proof that that's true. All that matters is what you think about yourself. So put it down. Man, I'm great looking. I'm very good looking. All right. All these wonderful qualities. I'm a wonderful person. I'm very spiritual. I'm close to God. I care about people, and I want to help people, and all these positive things about yourself. You'll be amazed what you'll come up with, but you got to get started. And as you do this, you'll get momentum, and you'll come up with more and more things. Write down everything you can, just get it all on paper. And then tomorrow I'm going to show you what to do with this. All right. So that's your assignment today. We're going to wrap up here because we're a couple minutes over. So let's check our comments here real quick. Man, you guys have been busy in the chat. Got a lot of comments here. This is awesome. Josh, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys more about this. So a lot of you have been commenting on my new attire. So I'm going to talk more about this on one of our webinars. So thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Deborah, you're awesome. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate you. You're awesome. Marcus, I will. You got it, brother. I'm going to. Yeah, Marcus, I love it. Some of the most successful people, they're dreamers. They dream big dreams. One of my mentors used to tell me, dream big dreams and go to work. That was like every time he'd get up and give a talk or do a training, that was like his closing line, dream big dreams and go to work. And I loved it. And so, yeah, successful people, they're big dreamers, they're big thinkers, and they're also big action takers. So Marcus, love your comment. Thank you, brother. Sarah, appreciate that. Thank you. Love your comment. Great to see you on here. Not yet, Deborah. I haven't read that book yet, but it's on my list. Thank you for the reminder. Appreciate you. Josh. Exactly. Yeah, comparison can be used for good and bad. We just got to remember, just like anything in life, we use it for positive. 100%. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate. Yeah, appreciate your comment. Thank you, Josh. Deborah. Yep. You have to unlearn what you've learned. You have to forget about your past. Okay. All that negative stuff, all the stuff that you tried didn't work. Forget about that. You just have to remember today's a brand new day. If you keep focusing on the past, what's going to happen, and this is true with goal setting. The problem a lot of times when people set goals is they're realistic. Well, if you think about it, what does realistic mean? Realistic to you may be different from somebody else. Everybody has their own different definition of realistic. What's realistic to one person may not be realistic to another. What's realistic is based on your past. The only reason you think something is realistic is because you have some experiences from your past to relate that to, because it's all in relation, right? It's subjective. You see how I'm going with this? That's the problem. So if you set your goals, realistically, what you're really doing is you're limiting yourself, because you're basically saying, well, I'm going to set my goals based on my past experience. My past experience has told me this. And because of that, I'm going to, instead of setting my goals here, I'm going to set my goals down here. Well, the problem is if you set your goals based on your past experience, then your future is not going to be any different. You see, that's the problem. You've got to break through that, and you got to set goals much bigger than, don't be realistic. Like Tony Robbins says, don't be realistic. Realistic is based on your past. Okay. If you want to break free from your past and change your life, you have to set much bigger goals. So, yep, you have to unlearn what you learned. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that. Katie. Yeah, so much of it comes from our childhood, right? All that negativity and, focusing on our weaknesses. Katie, I agree 100%. Absolutely. Thank you for your message. Appreciate that. That's right, Deborah. You have to love yourself first. Number one, absolutely. Bobby, love your message, brother. Thank you. You're awesome. And appreciate your compliment. That's interesting, Josh. That's interesting. I'll have to get some thought to that. Thank you. Appreciate your message, Josh. Love your messages. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. Deborah. That's right. Feed the positive, starve the negative. Exactly. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you feed expands. 100%. Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. So good to see you on here. Thank you for your message. Josh, you're very welcome, brother. Appreciate you. Katie? Yes, I'm not 100% on board with the SMART goals method and so forth. Again, there's multiple ways to achieve the same result and achieve the same destination or reach the same destination. But yeah, I am not always 100% on board with that. And there's a lot of my mentors I learned from that feel the same way. Because part of the problem with the SMART goal setting strategy is the R stands for realistic. And so once again, what is realistic? I mean, like I said, your past is different from somebody else's. So therefore, your definition of being realistic is different from theirs. One person may think that, there's some people out there that don't think $10,000 a month is realistic to them. Okay? And there's some people that don't think $100,000 a month is realistic to them. But the fact is, I guarantee you, every single one of you are a $10,000 a month earner, even if you've never done it before. But you know what? If you're always realistic about your goals based on your past experience, there's a good chance you won't ever get to that mark. But you have that potential. You just have to unlearn what you've learned and forget about your past. Every one of you are a $100,000 a month earner. Now, for some of you, that may blow your mind. I'm telling you right now, every single one of you are a $100,000 a month earner, 7 figures a year, personal income. Absolutely, every one of you. But if you're always realistic, and if you always base your future based on your past, or set goals for your future based on your past, good chance you won't get there. You can't be realistic. Some of the wealthiest, successful people are wealthy and successful because when everybody around them told them to be realistic, okay, get real, be realistic, they didn't. All right. Anyway, Lionel. Love your comment. Lionel, you're awesome, brother. Thank you for your message. All right, we're going to wrap up here. Like I always say, if you do the things today that most people won't, tomorrow you will have the life that most people can't. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Go out there and make it your best day ever. And we'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. God bless. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.